Have you ever wondered what the fundamental difference between fruits and vegetables is? In reality, the difference is not all that obvious. In botany, the word fruit is used to refer to an outgrowth. The word vegetable isn't used at all. A fruit is a part of a plant which is formed from the ovaries of a flower and contains numerous seeds or one big seed inside. Therefore, cucumbers, tomatoes, melons, peaches, cherries, and even green beans are fruits. Of course, this does not mean that you need to serve zucchini and asparagus on the same plate with oranges and grapes and call it a dessert. The explanation of such confusion is simple. It is necessary to distinguish the botanical definition of fruit and vegetables from the culinary one, and apparently just accept the fact that scientists will never agree with cooks. For example, for me, tomatoes will always be a kind of many-seeded fruit, a berry. But for Katya, these are vegetables. By the way, how's it going, Katya?
To find out the best way to cook vegetables, we've come to a restaurant that specializes in such dishes. And I hope that after I attend a masterclass taught by the chef, I'll be able to surprise Alexander.
When learning to be a professional chef, one of the first topics covered is the different methods for preparing food. Then comes the study of vegetables. Not meat, not seafood, but vegetables. That's likely because vegetables and grains are the most difficult in terms of understanding the ways they might be cooked.
Dimitri, hello.
Hello?
How are you?
I'm great.
Thank you very much for inviting me to your beautiful restaurant. I hope you'll teach me how to work with vegetables today.
Of course, I'm happy to help you with that.
Well, I suggest that we start with fresh vegetables.
Okay, let's get started.
I think these are the simplest, cucumbers. It seems to me that this is a vegetable that's never cooked. We simply eat it fresh, raw. Am I right?
Well, not really. Sometimes it depends on the cuisine. In Asian recipes, for example, cucumbers are often blanched a little before they're put in a dish. Often you see cucumbers being pickled, and sometimes they are even fried. But that's a whole other story.
Okay, but still, more often than not,
of course,
cucumbers
that is most typical.
are eaten raw. You see them added to
That's
salads and whatnot. When it comes to fine dining, every little detail counts, from the products used down to the cutting method used. A dish can be prepared where the results differ solely based on the way the vegetables were chopped. When you dice vegetables finely, the number of horizontal and cross edges increases, which consequently allows more flavor and juice to escape. They mix with the substances of other vegetables and you get a mixture of flavors. But if the cook's task is to avoid mixing flavors, vegetables should be cut in larger pieces to emphasize the aroma of each separate ingredient. After a cucumber has already been cut, how long can we keep it if we've chopped it up, for example?
Ideally, no more than 20 to 30 minutes. Yeah, I mean, according to the rules, any ingredient which has been cut shouldn't be stored more than 20 to 30 minutes.
Why? What happens to it?
Oxidation, withering, all the juices come out of the ingredients because the skin has been damaged, so all the moisture comes out.
Coming up in the program, what do the darkened edges of vegetables and a suntan have in common? What methods of cooking is the gentlest for vegetables, and why throw a copper coin in a saucepan with broccoli?
I think the time has come to look at vegetables under a microscope. Unlike animal cells, vegetables have a dense cell wall formed from carbohydrates, pectin, hemicellulose, and glucose. These substances determine the texture and appearance of the plant. Water is contained inside the cells, in which a set of chemical elements is dissolved, including the molecules that give the vegetable its taste. If the cell wall is damaged, moisture, together with all of the flavor molecules, escapes. One thing that can cause the destruction of cell walls is heat, which is why you'll notice that at high temperatures, vegetables will wither and decay. The optimal storage temperature for such products is 40 degrees, where vegetables can keep their cellular structure for longer periods of time. Cutting and peeling vegetables will also destroy the structure of the cells due to the physical impact. And again, their contents are released, including beneficial polyphenol molecules. When they are exposed to the air, they react with the oxygen, and oxidation occurs, producing melanoidins, and that causes vegetables to turn brown where the cuts have been. Interestingly enough, it's thanks to these same molecules that people can tan in the sun. It is possible to avoid the darkening of vegetables with the help of lemon juice, which contains ascorbic acid. It acts as an antioxidant, that is, it interferes with the process of oxidation and does not allow for melanoidins to be formed.
So at this point, I'd say we shouldn't chop the lettuce.
Right.
The vegetables would die before they made it to the table. We'll do that right before serving, correct? Well, now I'd like to move on to the vegetables then that need to be prepared. You almost never see people eating raw cauliflower. It just doesn't really happen, right? Do you ever cook it?
Yes, we have a number of dishes that we add cauliflower to. But basically, we blanch it or boil it at a low temperature and then mash it. That's what we are going to do today, actually.
Cauliflower, as well as broccoli, is never cut. It is divided into blossoms. This is the gentlest cooking method for the cellular structure of vegetables, and besides that, it looks more aesthetically pleasing. We decided to cook a variety of members of the cabbage family in different ways. As for broccoli, we'll be blanching it.
We blanch broccoli to cook it slightly while still retaining its color.
I've read that blanching takes anywhere from 20 seconds to 5 minutes.
That's right.
Is 5 minutes the absolute limit?
Yes. Absolutely. If it takes more than 5 minutes, the ingredient will be overdone, so it won't be blanched. It will be boiled already.
Broccoli's cell walls are quite strong, and we can't digest them properly when we eat it raw. When cooked, the structure of the vegetable is softened, which allows us to get all the healthy nutrients from it. Shall we move on from theory to practice already?
Yes.
And we'll start by blanching broccoli. What do we need for this? The water should be boiling. What's the temperature inside the pot right now?
210 degrees, and it is boiling.
Do we add anything else?
We throw in some salt, just a couple of pinches. Now the water's boiling, we put our broccoli in.
How much time does it take?
1.5 minutes will be enough. This will keep the color. You can see, even now it's starting to get brighter. The color changes.
Yeah, almost emerald.
Green vegetables get their distinct color because their cells contain a large amount of chlorophyll pigments, which are very sensitive to heat. The initial stages of cooking, the oxygen and water that are contained in the cell escape. The green pigment, however, remains inside the cell, and its concentration, due to a smaller amount of moisture, increases, and consequently the color becomes more saturated. But that bright green color is only maintained in the first minutes of cooking. If we continue to heat the vegetables, their color will fade and become like this, not appetizing at all. This is due to a change in the structure of the pigment. Chlorophyll molecules are composed of magnesium atoms. They are responsible for the color of plants. This structure allows plants to absorb all colors on the light spectrum except green. After prolonged heating, the structure of the cells is disturbed, and their contents escape together with magnesium. This also changes the reflectivity of the molecule. It begins to absorb all light, including green. Because of this, vegetables lose their color and become unattractive. You can use one trick to prevent vegetables from losing their green color. Throw a copper coin in the saucepan, or use a copper pan. Free copper ions displace magnesium ions from chlorophyll molecules, but this does not change the color of the vegetable since copper and magnesium ions have the same reflectivity in chlorophyll molecules.
When blanched, vegetables are exposed to heat for a short period of time, so nutrients don't have time to dissolve in the water or evaporate. But at the same time, harmful microorganisms are killed. This method also allows us to slow down the actions of enzymes which destroy the flavor, color, and structure of vegetables, which consequently increases the time they can be kept.
Immediately after blanching, the ingredients are placed in cold water. It's just ice and water. This is done to stop the process of cooking inside the ingredients as soon as possible.
So it's like taking an ice bath.
Exactly.
That's what's happening with the broccoli now.
Yes.
Okay. After that, can we serve it already, or do we need to do something else?
After blanching the vegetable and after the ice bath, We dry the vegetables and then we can use them in salads or as ingredients in other dishes. How are you progressing?
Great. And I'm even ready to admit that you were right. The chef I just met says that cooking time and temperature for vegetables is important.
And him you believed.
I simply support the empirical method of research.
The empirical method? How nice. And I hope that means you won't refuse to take part in a small experiment.
Of course not. Experiments lie at the foundation of the empirical method.
Exactly. Look, the experiment is very simple. I'm going to give you 3 types of puree, and your task is just to guess what kind of vegetables they are made from.
Something smells fishy. Did you add something to them?
There's no catch. Close your eyes, please.
Okay, interesting.
You will try one puree at a time, and you will have to name the vegetables it is made of. Here's the first one.
Well, that tastes like squash.
Okay, great. And now take the second one.
Tasty. I'm thinking carrots.
All right. And now the third one. Here you are.
Well, that's obviously beets.
Excellent. Open your eyes.
Well,
Well, you got 3 out of 3 wrong.
impossible.
Quite possible. In fact, these purees were made from broccoli, beets, and carrot. I wanted to prove a point about overboiled vegetables. You see, all the aroma molecules that give them taste, they either dissolved in the water or evaporated into the air while cooking. I wanted to leave you with 0 doubts when it comes to overcooking vegetables.
Okay, that's it. From now on, I'll only ever blanch vegetables.
Cool.
Coming up in the program, vacuum cooking. Why deprive vegetables of oxygen? Plus, why does a lighted candle help keep your eyes from watering when cutting onions? And how to cook frozen candies from beets. Despite the advantages of blanching, it is not suitable for all vegetables. The walls of root vegetable molecules, such as potatoes or beets, are so strong that they can be softened only by prolonged heating. To cook these vegetables, it is necessary to use other methods of preparation. For instance, sous vide. So let's get back to cooking vegetables.
Yes.
Tell me, why do we need a cellophane bag or whatever that is?
Well, it's not cellophane, it's plastic.
And?
It's a special bag needed for the vacuum sealer. That is, we are going to vacuum seal the ingredients. This is a French method of cooking, which can be translated as under vacuum.
The method is simple. The ingredients are sealed in a plastic bag and the air is pumped out. Then the ingredients are cooked in a water bath at a constant temperature which usually does not exceed 175 degrees. Using sous vide for cooking vegetables has several advantages. When frying or roasting, the ingredients are exposed to temperatures which are many times higher than the temperature of readiness. Sous vide helps us to avoid overheating. The heat is distributed evenly, passing from the surface of vegetables to the middle of them. Due to the relatively low temperature, the cell membranes remain intact and therefore the dishes are much juicier. And vacuum packaging fully preserves the flavor and aroma of all the ingredients.
We'll add a little bit of olive oil for taste.
Okay.
And salt, of course. Could you please hand me that?
But it's not exactly a vacuum. There's a lot in there.
Yes, indeed. We can add thyme, rosemary, a bunch of flavors. Of course, it will all be brewed together and saturated with very healthy and potent flavors. Sometimes, breaking up the intercellular structure affects not only the taste of the ingredient, but also makes people cry. Of course, I am talking about chopping onions. In its cells, there are 2 peculiar compartments where certain substances of different chemical compositions are stored. This structure is broken when cut, and these substances mix to form a gas. When it gets into the tear glands, it mixes with water, forming a negligible amount of sulfuric acid. But that's enough to cause a burning sensation and make your eyes water. Such chemical weapons are necessary for protection against insects. To avoid the tears, you should put onions in the refrigerator before cutting them. At low temperatures, chemical reactions are slowed down. Or you can simply put a lit candle next to the cutting board. The substances that irritate you will burn off before they get into your eyes.
So, we've learned that cooking vegetables at low temperatures is best in terms of preserving nutrients, but this method does not give you an appetizing, flavorful crust on the outside. That can be achieved through the Maillard reaction, which occurs at higher temperatures.
Grilling is better than frying because, first of all, it is a natural fire, and secondly, vegetables are evenly baked on all sides thanks to a bigger area of direct heat. When we fry ingredients, there's only one area which the heat comes to. But when grilled, vegetables are able to cook more evenly.
When roasted on the grill, vegetables lose about 35% of moisture. The taste becomes more saturated, but nevertheless, the ingredients do not dry up. Due to the high temperatures, a crispy crust is formed, which helps to retain the remaining moisture inside the dish.
In the end, it all comes down to taste. I mean, if I just took a bell pepper and fried it in a frying pan, it would end up being an ordinary fried pepper, nothing special. But here we've got a pepper with the flavor of fire on it. It is baked and remains extremely juicy.
The flavor of fire and smoke is especially perceptible when vegetables are cooked in a wood-burning oven. The ingredients are cooked at approximately the same temperatures as on the grill, but the taste is completely different. That comes down to smoke molecules condensing on the food's surface and giving it a pleasant, natural aroma.
Okay, all of the ingredients are ready, so you can put them in the oven.
I'm meant to do this with my bare hands?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
It's really simple.
In that case, you don't need help. I'll just watch.
And we close the lid.
And wait for 15 to 20 minutes?
15 to 20 minutes, yes.
Now I know almost everything about cooking vegetables at high temperatures, but I haven't tried to prepare them with a deep freeze yet, so I think that will be the next challenge for me to tackle. One of the specialties of this restaurant is a beet salad frozen in liquid nitrogen. The vegetables are first chopped in a blender and then under pressure squeezed into a container with gas whose temperature is minus 380 degrees. The beets now look more like whipped cream.
I know, it really does look like whipped cream. Look, here's what it becomes. Looks something along the lines of an eclair.
It's beautiful. More like a meringue than an eclair.
Like meringue. When liquid nitrogen comes into contact with the ingredients, its state of matter quickly changes. Liquid nitrogen evaporates and becomes a gas, which crystallizes and freezes the ingredients. As a result, microcrystals change the shape of the food, but do not affect its quality. The texture becomes softer and the taste is saturated.
Okay, and you're sure that this is edible?
Yes, it's delicious. I'll give you a piece to try.
I'm not quite ready for such an experiment, but it's very cold. It's freezing.
Take it.
Okay.
Blow on it.
I can chew it?
It tastes like ice cream or some kind of popsicle.
It's ice beet candy.
Yes.
A dish that includes the addition of frozen beets looks very impressive. And once the vegetable thaws, it turns into a liquidy sauce. There are just as many different methods of cooking them as there are vegetables themselves. Today I'll have a real vegetarian lunch, and it looks like Alexander was right. We wouldn't have had these delicious dishes without having paid attention to the intracellular structure of vegetables. Well, I believe we should start with the vegetable salad, because if I don't eat raw cucumbers now, they're going to wither, right?
Yes.
This is our simplest dish today. It required no cooking at all.
Yes, nothing in it was cooked.
you.
It is the simplest salad, really. There's a dressing made from olive oil and just a little bit of vinegar, and these herbs here are delicious. They're Vietnamese herbs.
Right, and take me through all of our other dishes as well.
Okay, let's do this in order then.
All right.
This is the broccoli that we've blanched at the beginning.
So here all the vitamins are intact.
Yes, it was also roasted a little on the grill and slightly crisped with a small torch for a more impressive look. There's cauliflower puree.
At the bottom.
That's right, like a base.
This is really good. I can taste the fire, almost like it
Yes,
was
that's
prepared in
right.
the open air and on a grill.
The most important thing is that the vegetables keep their structure, that they aren't overcooked and retain their crunch. That is also very important. And this is an eggplant that we've prepared. First, we roasted it on the grill, then we peeled it and got rid of all of its seeds, and then we put it in the oven.
Very unusual. I really like that. Thank you very much. This was amazing, of course. You showed me methods of preparing vegetables from a new perspective. I don't think I can do it myself, but I can eat it all by myself.
Thank you very much, and enjoy your meal. What a beautiful variety of dishes. And I should note that judging by the lack of smoke, you've really learned how to cook vegetables properly.
Maybe I just installed a good exhaust fan.
Really, I think it's time to start the analysis of their organoleptic properties.
Oh, don't start with that again. Just try the salad. I destroyed the intracellular structure of the vegetables, so you need to eat it as soon as possible. Bon appetit.
Well, Look, it's a great salad, but it's hard to spoil a salad.
Well then, here's a fried eggplant with nut sauce.
Wow, it looks great, and I can see that it's been fried evenly, and you've preserved its fine taste. Well done. You've also prepared zucchini?
Yes, have some please. It's a baked zucchini with cheese.
Okay, it looks amazing. I literally feel like there are fireworks of aroma molecules all over my tongue.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to hear that.
I know that it is me who inspired you to make all of this, but you don't happen to have anything more filling? Maybe steak?
No, Alexander, we have steak in another episode. Today, nothing but vegetables.
Well, maybe we can order a pizza. I'm still hungry.
So that you can investigate its intracellular structure?
Of course, I always carry a magnifying glass.
No doubt.